What if the secrets to creation hidden within the book of Genesis weren't fully understood until Jesus himself revealed them? Prepare to unlock a profound understanding of spiritual truths that will completely transform your view of the universe and your place within it. This isn't just about ancient texts, it's about a revolutionary blueprint for life. All right, family, listen up. Y'all take a deep breath with me for a second. Get out of your head and just land in this room. Right here, right now. You know, most of us are out here just trying to adult. We're grinding, paying bills, scrolling through the endless drama online, trying to figure it all out. And we're looking for the answers in all the usual places. The self-help books, the podcasts, the hustle culture. And honestly, it's not really hitting the spot, is it? It's like we're all walking around with this ancient, top-secret codex buried deep in our DNA, but we lost the cheat code. We're running the software, but we have no clue about the source code. So, what if I told you that the whole Genesis story isn't some dusty, old-timey fable, but is actually the original blueprint? The ultimate user manual for your soul. And the wildest part, Jesus himself wasn't about starting a new religion. He was the ultimate hacker who cracked that code wide open. He saw the Genesis blueprint for what it really is and came to show us how to run the same program. We're about to dive deep and unpack how the Garden of Eden wasn't a physical place, but a state of consciousness we got kicked out of, and how the kingdom of heaven is about glitching back into that system. So, if you're ready to stop just believing and start knowing, if you're ready to see the Bible not as a history book, but as the most mind-blowing ARG ever created, then you need to stick around. Because what we're unlocking today, it's going to change the whole game for you. What at the end of your speech, lean in with intensity and curiosity. So, the real question isn't what happened in the beginning, it's where is the beginning happening right now inside of you. The blueprint is active. The revelation is live. The real Garden of Eden ain't a spot on a map you can GPS, so where is it? If your mind is officially blown, if this hit you right in the spirit, do me a solid. Like the video, comment your symbolic number, 777, if you're ready to see the deeper pattern, and subscribe, because we're just getting started, and the next level of this is about to get absolutely unreal. Peace and that source code, that original operating system, is what we're calling the Genesis blueprint. It's not a story about something that happened to two people millennia ago. That's the surface level reading, and if we stay there, we miss the whole point. The Garden of Eden is a state of mind. It's the factory setting of your own consciousness before the world got its hands on it and installed a bunch of junk programs. Think about it. What is the garden? It's a place of perfect provision, right? No struggle, no lack. Everything you need is just there. You're not stressing about your next meal or your 401k. There's no concept of not enough. That's not a geographical location. That's a mental and spiritual state of absolute trust and oneness. You're plugged directly into the source, and the flow is uninterrupted. You're not trying to manifest anything, because you are one with everything. There's no separation between you and the divine. You're just vibing in that ultimate connection, fully aware that you are the image and likeness of God, which is just a way of saying you are a perfect individual expression of the one infinite consciousness. And in that state, what's the rule? You can enjoy it all, you can partake in all of it, but don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, folks get all hung up on this, like it's a random command from a petty god. But it's a metaphor for the one thing that can crash this perfect system, the invention of the judging mind. The knowledge of good and evil is the ability to label, to separate, to judge. It's the birth of duality. It's the moment your consciousness looks at the world and says, "This is good, I want it. That is evil, I fear it. This is me, and that is other." That single bite, that choice to engage with a reality based on separation and judgment, is what boots you out of the garden. Instantly, you're in a different headspace. The state of oneness is gone, replaced by the state of other. Now you feel naked, which is to say vulnerable and self-conscious. Well, now you have to hide. Now you have to toil and struggle by the sweat of your brow. The provision that was once automatic now feels like a grind. This isn't a punishment handed down, it's the natural, karmic consequence of switching your internal operating system from a unified field to a dualistic one. You fell from the consciousness of unity into the consciousness of separation. So when we talk about the fall, we're not talking about a historical tumble. We're talking about that moment, right now, in your own mind, when you choose fear over love, when you see an enemy instead of a brother, when you believe in lack instead of abundance. You reenact the fall every single day. The good news, the radical revelation that Jesus came to deliver, is that the garden wasn't destroyed. The gate wasn't locked. You just turned your back on it and walked away, convinced the desert you wandered into was the only reality. The blueprint for that state of perfect, unified consciousness is still the core code of your being. It's buried under layers of worldly conditioning, fear, and that relentless judging mind, but it is intact. It is your true self. And the entire spiritual journey is the process of turning around, shaking off the dust of that desert, and remembering your way back home. And that is the crucial pivot. For centuries, we've been taught to see the fall as a catastrophe, a tragedy that ruined everything. We've been conditioned to look back at that state of unified consciousness with a sense of loss and longing, as if we were evicted from paradise for breaking a rule. But what if we've had the entire interpretation backwards? What if the fall wasn't a demotion, but an essential upgrade? Stay with me here. Think about any software, any system. The first version is perfect, but it's also innocent. It operates in a closed, protected environment. It hasn't been tested in the real world. It doesn't have the complexity, the resilience, or the depth of understanding that comes from experience. The garden consciousness was that version 1.0. It was a state of oneness, but it was a passive oneness. It was a gift that was simply received, not a reality that was consciously chosen and earned through understanding. The act of eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, of activating the judging mind, was the necessary catalyst that launched the human experiment into its next, more profound phase. It was the fall down into the world of duality, into the realm of contrast and choice, so that we could ultimately make the conscious decision to rise up and return to oneness, not as innocent children, but as self-aware, empowered co-creators. You can't truly choose light if you've never experienced any form of darkness. You can't consciously embody love if you have no concept of fear. The descent into separation was the only way to make the return to unity a conscious, deliberate, and therefore infinitely more powerful act. This is where the traditional religious narrative misses the point. It frames us as permanently flawed beings paying for an ancient sin. But the metaphysical truth is that we are eternal consciousness embarking on a curriculum of experience. The fall was us enrolling in the most advanced university imaginable, the School of Earth, where the core subjects are choice, consequence, and the ultimate discovery of our own divine nature through the process of navigating the illusion of its opposite. The struggle, the pain, or the toil and sweat. These aren't punishments. They are the assignments and the labs in this curriculum. They are the friction that forces the evolution of the soul. So, when you look at your own life, at the challenges, the heartbreaks, the moments of feeling completely lost and separate from any sense of peace, you are not looking at evidence of your failure or your fallen state. You are looking at your coursework. You are in the middle of the upgrade process. The ego, the sense of a separate self that judges and fears, is not some evil monster to be slain. It was a necessary piece of temporary software that allowed you to function and learn in this dense realm of duality. Its purpose was to give you a point of reference, a self to transcend. The journey isn't about destroying the ego, but about outgrowing it, about downloading a higher awareness that can integrate the lessons of separation back into the knowing of unity. Jesus didn't come to scold us for being fallen. He came to show us that we had graduated from the innocence of the garden and were now ready to master the conscious art of building the kingdom from within the wilderness itself. And this is precisely where the traditional picture of Jesus gets flipped on its head. He wasn't just a holy man with a great moral compass. He wasn't a celestial figure who dropped in to simply forgive sins and hand out a ticket to heaven. That's the kiddie pool version. We're diving into the deep end now. Jesus was the ultimate reality hacker. He was the one who saw the source code of this universe, understood the glitches in our perception, and came to show us how to jailbreak the entire system. Think of the world we experience, this realm of lack, sickness, conflict, and death, as the Matrix. It's a consensual hallucination, a dense, collective dream built on the fundamental bug of separation. It runs on the operating system of the knowledge of good and evil, and it's a system that, by its very design, produces suffering. It's a loop of desire and fear, of winning and losing, of health and sickness. Now, enter the hacker. A hacker doesn't get angry at the computer. They understand its language, its architecture, its vulnerabilities. They input a new set of commands that the system doesn't know how to process, and the whole thing glitches, revealing the truth behind the simulation. This is exactly what Jesus was doing with his miracles. The multiplication of loaves and fishes. That wasn't just a magic trick to feed people. It was a live demonstration of a universe that operates on infinite supply, not scarce resources. He input the command of allness and faith into the system of lack, and the system had to reconfigure itself to match his command. He walked on water, not to show off, but to reveal that the laws of physics in this dense reality are suggestions, not absolutes. For a consciousness that knows its oneness with the source of all energy, he healed the sick and raised the dead to show us that sickness and death are data points within the temporary simulation, not the ultimate truth of our being. He was running a different program, the Kingdom of Heaven OS, and its commands overrode the base code of the world. His teachings were the exploit codes he was leaving for us. Turn the other cheek isn't just about being passive. It's a command to break the cycle of attack and defense, the core gameplay of the ego's world. Love your enemies is a radical line of code that forces the system to reconfigure an enemy back into a brother, collapsing the illusion of separation at its root. His crucifixion and resurrection were the ultimate hack. He allowed the system, the collective ego of humanity, the laws of cause and effect, the finality of death, to throw everything it had at him. And by not resisting it, by accepting it fully, while maintaining the consciousness of oneness with the Father, he exposed the system's ultimate power as an illusion. He let the simulation kill the avatar, proving that the player, the true Christ consciousness, is eternal and cannot be terminated. He didn't die for our sins. He debugged the core belief in sin and separation by passing through it and coming out the other side, showing us the path to do the same. He gave us the cheat code to transcend the game while we're still playing it. And that cheat code is the most vital piece of intel we can possess. Because let's be real, the default program is still running, and it's running on our hardware. We're walking around with this incredible processing unit, this consciousness capable of tapping into the divine, but it's been corrupted by a virus. We're not running on the original Kingdom OS anymore. Your internal operating system has been corrupted. Think about your own mind for a second. From the moment you were born, the world started its download. It wasn't a malicious attack. It was just the collective agreement. The consensual hallucination we talked about. It installed a program called the separate self. This program comes with a whole suite of subroutines. The not good enough app, the there isn't enough utility, the fear of the other plugin, and the judgment. protocol that's always running in the background, chewing up your mental RAM. This is the legacy of the knowledge of good and evil. It's not that you're a bad person, it's that you're running Buggy, outdated software that creates a perpetual state of conflict and scarcity. It's a low-vibration program that can't even comprehend the reality of infinite love and abundance, because its entire architecture is built on the premise of separation. This corruption manifests as all the static in your life, that constant, low-grade anxiety. That's the antivirus software from the separate self-program scanning for threats in a universe it perceives as hostile. The feeling of never having quite enough money, enough time, enough love, enough likes on your post. That's the "there isn't enough" subroutine confirming its core belief. The quickness to judge, to label someone as wrong or different or a threat. That's the judgment protocol doing its job, reinforcing the walls of separation. We think these are our personal problems, our unique flaws and failures. But they're not. They are the predictable outputs of a corrupted operating system. We're all experiencing a personalized version of the same system-wide glitch. This is why just thinking positive or working on yourself often feels like trying to put out a forest fire with a squirt gun. You're trying to fix a surface-level symptom while the core code is still generating the same errors. You might manage to close one program, you manifest a little more money, you achieve a goal, but the underlying architecture of lack and fear just opens up another window, creating a new problem, a new thing to worry about. You've been trying to redecorate the rooms in a house that's built on a cracked foundation. The problem isn't the wallpaper. The problem is the blueprint of the house itself. Your entire perception of reality is being filtered through this corrupted lens, and until you address the OS itself, you're just playing whack-a-mole with the symptoms. You're trying to find peace, love, and abundance within a program whose very purpose is to generate their opposites. It's a fool's errand. The system can't give you what it was designed to deny. This is the critical juncture, the moment of truth in our entire journey. Understanding the problem is one thing, but if we don't have the solution, we're just diagnosing a disease with no cure. And this is where the message of Jesus moves from being a comforting philosophy to a practical, radical technology of transformation. He didn't just come to diagnose the corruption, he came with the ultimate fix. The revelation he brought is the reboot. A reboot isn't just turning something off and on again. It's a complete power cycle. It's shutting down the entire system, clearing the volatile memory, stopping all those corrupted processes from running, and initiating a fresh start from the core, read-only memory, the BIOS of your soul. This is what he meant when he said, "You must be born again." He wasn't talking about a water ceremony or changing your religious affiliation. He was giving a technical command. You must initiate a full system reboot. The old program of the separate self, with all its fear-based subroutines and lack-based protocols, has to be completely powered down. You can't just patch it. You can't just install a new app called Spirituality on top of the old OS and hope it works. The two are incompatible. The old wine's skin cannot hold the new wine. So, how do we initiate this reboot? It's not a passive process, it's the active, moment-to-moment practice of what the mystics call withdrawal. You see the thought of lack appear, the "there isn't enough" subroutine trying to boot up, and you consciously deny it reality. You withdraw your belief from it. You see the judgment of a neighbor arise, the judgment protocol activating, and you consciously refuse to engage. You power it down. You feel the old anxiety, the fear of the future, and instead of feeding it with a story, you sit in the silence and you command, "Not my will, but thy will be done." That's the reboot sequence. It's the conscious surrender of the corrupted, separate will to the one clean, uncorrupted program, the divine will, the Father within. This is the practice. This is the work. It's not about chanting on a mountain top. It's about catching your own mind in the act of running the old, Buggy software and pulling the plug on it over and over and over again. This reboot is what reveals the kingdom of heaven. It's not a location you go to. It's the state of the system when it's finally running on its original, intended operating system. When you successfully shut down the noise of the ego's world, what's left? The stillness, the peace that passes all understanding, the intuitive knowing of oneness, the spontaneous flow of love that requires no object. This is the kingdom. It was never added, it was simply revealed when the corrupted programs were terminated. Every miracle, every moment of grace, every instant of profound peace you've ever experienced was a glimpse of the system running, for just a second, on this reboot's clean, uncorrupted software. Well, the revelation is the understanding that this isn't a rare event, it is the native state of your being, available the moment you stop the virus from dominating your processing power. And this brings us to the final, most profound, and most personal truth of this entire revelation. If the reboot reveals the kingdom, and the kingdom is within, then what we are ultimately discovering is not a place, not a set of rules, and not even a new belief system. We are discovering the uncorrupted, original architect of the whole thing. The ultimate reality is not that you are following a blueprint, it is that you are the blueprint. The entire journey, from the innocence of the garden, through the necessary descent into the classroom of duality to the conscious reboot into Christ mind, has all been for one purpose, for the one I am to come to know itself, to experience itself, and to consciously express itself as you. This is the radical, non-dual core of the message that flips the entire script of seeking. We spend our lives looking for the answer, searching for God, trying to get to heaven, striving to become enlightened, as if it's something outside of us, something we are not. We are like a wave in the ocean desperately searching for water. What the revelation is the wave realizing, I am not just in the ocean is in me. I am the ocean expressing itself as a wave. The I am that spoke to Moses from the burning bush is the same I am that is the core of your own being. Before you add any qualifiers, before I am a success, I am a failure, I am sick, I am well. That pure, unadorned I am is the living God. It is the Father within. It is the Christ. So when you sit in that silence, when you successfully reboot and the noise of the world fades out, what is left? It's not a blank emptiness. It is a palpable living presence. It is consciousness itself, aware of itself, and that consciousness is not a generic, one-size-fits-all thing. It is the infinite individualizing itself. The blueprint is not a rigid, architectural drawing that every soul must conform to. It is the dynamic, living, breathing pattern of God's own being, and it is unique in its expression as you. Your true self, the Christ of you, is that one of a kind, individual expression of the divine. The love you express is God's love, flowing through your unique channel. The peace you demonstrate is God's peace, felt through your unique being. The joy you radiate is God's joy, expressed in a way that only you can express it. This means the entire spiritual quest is an inside job that ends where it began, but with a crucial difference. You began as the innocent garden, unaware of its own nature. You are returning as the conscious Christ, fully aware that you are the garden itself. The search is over the moment you stop looking for a savior out there and realize the savior is the I am looking out through your own eyes. The work is not to build the kingdom, but to stop building anything that obscures it. It is to consent, to yield, to get out of the way and let the blueprint that is your own being express itself fully without the interference of the corrupted, separate self. Your life, then, is not about becoming spiritual. It is about the already spiritual that you are becoming more fully human, allowing the divine to live its life as you.